Hi guys, my name is Johan from Restoration.bike, and in this video I'm going to explain to you how to overhaul a vintage mountain bike headset and the bearings. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I also have a Facebook group for people who are into bike restorations, and you're welcome to join that group with the help of the link in the description below. So I was lucky enough to be able to buy a Koga Miyata Skyrunner Carbolite, but as is often the case with bikes which are 3 decades old, the bike is in need of some love. It's from 1991 and comes with a, for the time, top-of-the-line Shimano Deore XT groupset, including the headset we're going to look into. So before you can open up the headset, you'll need to remove the stem, and before you can remove the stem, you'll need to loosen the front brake cable. Since the brake cable is pulled taut, you won't be able to pull the stem upwards otherwise. And the Skyrunner has a Deore XT cantilever setup, and this means you can loosen the right side by hand, but loosen a bolt of the left side to release the cable. And the headset is a threaded headset. It means the top of the fork has a threaded part onto which you screw the headset lug nut and headset itself. And unlike newer setups, the stem is inserted into the steerer tube, and a wedge located at the bottom of the stem is forced against the inner wall of the tube when it's being pulled up by rotating the large bolt inserted into the stem. Because this wedge is often seized and or corroded into the steerer tube, you'll need to give the bolt a solid tap with a mallet so the wedge loosens. Afterwards, it should be easy to remove the stem, and since all cables are still attached to the handlebar, you can't move the stem entirely, but you'll need to gently hang the handlebars from its cables. With the stem removed, you have clear access to the headset, and the headset has a upper bearing race which is tightened onto the bearings by screwing it into place. And to keep it there, you have a lock nut that is screwed on top of it. A thin washer sits between the lock nut and upper bearing race, and the washer has a tiny lip on the inside so it can be placed in one way onto the steerer tube. Underneath the upper bearing race are the caged bearings. Sometimes the cage is referred to as a retainer. And between the bearings and the crown race sits a very thin plastic seal. It's concave to fit snugly against the bearings and has an edge underneath that fits just over the crown race. After I cleaned the crown race, I saw evenly spaced dents, and I'd never seen such damage before, and the dents corresponded with the amount of bearings. The easiest and fastest way to clean any bicycle part is using white spirit, and cleaning the vintage mountain bike headset bearings is done by putting them into a jar, submerge them, and swirl the container a couple of minutes. The white spirit will dissolve the grease, leaving you with very shiny headset bearings. I also cleaned the upper bearing race and inspected both the race and the bearings, only to find nothing out of the ordinary. The bearing race wasn't pitted, and the bearings seemed to roll smoothly and didn't show any signs of wear either. Concluded the bearing race simply was screwed on way too tight, causing the bearings to bind into the race. I re-greased the bearing race and bearings and screwed them back into place, and make sure the seal sits properly with the concave side facing upwards. After you've reinsert the stem and handlebars, you'll need to tighten the bearing race in such a way so that the headset no longer shows any signs of play, but still rotates smoothly. And this particular headset requires a massive 38mm headset wrench to tighten. And since I don't have such a tool, I use my Park Tool adjustable wrench. If you're happy with how the bearing race sits and how the handlebar rotates, you can test it for signs of play by using both brakes and pushing your bike forward using the handlebars. If the headset still has play, you'll clearly see it move on top of the steerer tube. Adjust the race accordingly until the play is gone. And that's how you overhaul your vintage mountain bike headset bearings. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and don't forget to consider joining the Facebook group. And I hope I can welcome you again for the next video. Bye for now.